Joe Kissell takes control of your online privacy. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by MacVoices Magazine, our free magazine on Flipboard and on the web. Want to cut through all the noise and find out what you can do with your Apple gear? MacVoices Magazine focuses on just that, aggregating the best how-to articles and information. Get it by searching for MacVoices in the Flipboard app or visiting macvoices.com/magazine. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, it's been entirely too long since we talked to Joe Kissell. That's because he's been busy head down putting, well, not pen to paper anymore, I guess, but keyboard to screen to bring us more Take Control books. This time, we're here to talk about Take Control of Your Online Privacy 5th edition. Joe, it's great to see you, and thank you so much for getting this book updated. Oh my God, do we need it?
Yeah, it's funny, as you were saying, putting pen to paper, I was going to hold up my Apple Pencil because, I could write it using an Apple Pencil and use handwriting. Like I could do it that way. And then I realized, as I told you before we started recording, this is an old Apple Pencil, and I just had to plug it in to recharge it. And the next nearest thing I would have picked up is an X-Acto knife, which I would not use for writing a book. I'm like, no, not that. Yeah, boy. So let me tell you, when I finish a book, I assume that some period of time is going to go by before it needs its next update. Sometimes that period is a couple of months and it's a small update. Sometimes it's a year or two and it's a bigger update. But whatever the topic of the book is, I'm looking at the news every day and I'm reading all the, Apple sites, and I'm getting questions and comments and bug reports from customers. And anytime something comes up, or like, oh, I should really address this in the next update to the book, I open up the Manuscript and I start a little list so that the next time I go to update it, like the list is right there. So I've been doing that with Take Control of Your Online Privacy, last updated in April 2019, a veritable eternity ago. And almost, not quite every day, but often multiple times per week, I'll read an article. I was like, oh yeah, I got to mention that in the book. Or, some new privacy threat, or some company or product that I recommended that turned out to be evil, or something that you used to be able to do, but now that thing has gone away, or the company has gone out of business, or some brand new feature that I want to tell you about, whatever, anything that, and the things having to do with online privacy, the list is just so long. So I found okay, it's time. I really, really, really got to do this. This book is so out of date. And I open up the Manuscript and I look at my list, and it's like 5 pages, single spaced, just of one line notes about mention this, look into this, read this article. And I'm like, oh, this is going to take me forever. And it really did take a long time to go through all that stuff and update the book. And even as I was writing it, new articles would pop up like, oh, well, crap. There's a new problem that affects almost all VPNs in the world, or, oh crap, a new password breach, or whatever. So it's one of these things that it's almost impossible to ever keep completely up to date, but at least it's going to be way, way, way more up to date than it had been in years.
Joe, you could make a full-time career out of this. I mean, there are people that do, because they're looking at every single thing and trying to name every single exposure that you have. You've always taken a bit more of a practical approach in Take Control books to say, all right, these are the high points and the medium points. I may not get down to some of the real nitty-gritty because it doesn't apply to enough people. So,
right.
But unfortunately, it seems like the high and medium points are becoming more of them, and they're becoming bigger exposures.
Yeah. So, you're right on both counts. One of the things I've always said in this book is that this is about ordinary privacy for ordinary people. So if you are a billionaire, or if you're, a spy, or if you're, you know, a journalist in some authoritarian country covering politically sensitive things or whatever, like if you have really, really exceptional privacy needs, if the NSA is paying very careful attention to you or something, this book isn't for you. I mean, I mention things. I say, if you have greater privacy needs, you could do this, this, and this. But the vast majority of the book is for just ordinary folk. And I added some things this time around that sort of address that question of, well, how big is my risk? What is my risk profile? And I'm trying to help readers understand what they should worry about and what they shouldn't worry about, because I have over so many questions and emails and things. I've noticed that a lot of times people get really, really, really worried about some very obscure threat. Like, well, I read an article in which this happened and this happened and this happened, and then that person lost $1 million. Like, okay, yes, that I'm sure that happened. Also, people win the lottery. Also, people get hit by lightning and bit by sharks. It doesn't happen very often. And to spend so much time and effort worrying about those, once in tens of millions kinds of things, where you are very, very unlikely to encounter that problem, especially if you are not wealthy or powerful or influential or controversial. If you're just an ordinary person, then your risk is quite low. And I'm not saying you should slack off, but you should calibrate the things you do accordingly, because every step you take to protect your privacy is also going to involve some level of inconvenience to you. So I do talk about like the things that you shouldn't worry about, but also also the things you should worry about that hardly anybody does worry about. So I'm sure we'll get into some of that as we go on. And yeah, so to your points, yes, a lot of people worry about the wrong things. Also, yes, the bad guys are stepping up their game, and so more, it was once sufficient to say, well, just don't be low hanging fruit. Now it's getting harder. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the fruit is dropping, or I don't have a good metaphor there. But the tree is just so overladen with fruit that it's hanging. I don't know. Anyway, but the point is, yes, the threats are becoming greater and harder to avoid.
I'll take a shot at your metaphor and suggest that it's easier now it's not just the low-hanging fruit of one tree, but the trees have become denser or something. No, I'm doing it too. Forget
it. And juicier. Let's not forget juicier.
Yeah, but you're right. It's easier for the bad guys to deploy throw more lines in the water to catch more fish.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and
the lines are getting better.
Yeah, and I want to say a word or two about who these mysterious bad guys are, because I think that the image a lot of people have when it comes to privacy is, there's some guy in a black hoodie hunched over a keyboard with all these screens, and like, I will find your private information. It's like the sort of movie idea of a black hat hacker, that kind of thing. And I mean, okay, those kinds of people exist, but the overwhelming majority of the threat to your online privacy is way, way, way more mundane. It's advertisers. Advertisers want your personal data so desperately. Advertising makes the internet work. It pays for most websites and videos, and advertising is way, way, way more effective when the ads match a person's interests. And ads can match a person's interest better the more the advertisers know about you. But the amount of information advertisers know about most of us is just shocking. It's truly stunning. And what's equally stunning is how much information about ourselves we freely give away all day, every day. So probably you and many of the audience today have seen the Black Mirror episode "Joan is Awful" on Netflix. And if you haven't seen it, and if you have a Netflix subscription, go to the latest season of Black Mirror and watch the first episode, "Joan is Awful." It it will rock your world. So it's ostensibly a spoof or a comedy about a world in which monitoring of what we do has gone to an extreme. And I'm watching this, and it's entertaining, but I'm also thinking, yeah, actually, everything I'm seeing is at least theoretically possible with today's technology. Ugh. And so so this is kind of what we have agreed to implicitly, is we're going to let advertisers collect this vast trove of information about us so that we can watch videos for free and use email for free and do web searches for free and do all the free things. And it turns out to have been a Faustian bargain where we're all giving away data that could be and often is misused. It's not just the advertisers that have this data and use it for some pretty nefarious things.
So we're all living in a Black Mirror episode.
Kind of, yes. That is basically what I'm saying.
And, okay, well, on that positive note,
yeah.
Joe, there's so many things. I mean, I've got my own avenues that I'd love to go down with you, but rather than do that like we usually do, I'm going to let you tell me what do you want to have people have top of mind when they approach this book or when they're considering, purchasing this book? Because there are so many security and privacy topics that we could touch on. What do you see as the ones that folks should really be paying attention to?
Well, I'm glad you asked. And sometimes before the show, I sort of say, now, Chuck, it wouldn't be a bad idea to ask me about this. I didn't do that this time. But that was a great lead into, I added a big long section to this edition of this book called "What I Wish I Could Tell You." And the premise is, I could improve your online privacy by like 80 or 90% if you would just do these 5 things. Just 5 things, and don't even bother reading the rest of the book. It's, a few pages, you do this and you're done. And I mean, I'm oversimplifying, of course, but I added this thing saying, these are like the 5 really, really biggest things. And if you would just do these 5 things, it would have a huge effect on your privacy. And I call this "What I Wish I Could Tell You" rather than Joe's 5 privacy rules, because they're all hard. They all come with consequences. And however much I might tell you one of these things is so great for your privacy, I know that most people are going to go, yeah, but I can't really do that because, and like, I get that. I don't want you to feel bad that you can't just do these things, because we all have like lives to live. But I'm going to tell you what the 5 things are that at least deserve your attention. And maybe you can't go quite as far as I wish you would, but at least you could do something. So number 1 on my list is stop using Facebook. Stop using like altogether. Don't use it at all. And I don't mean just Facebook. I mean Meta stuff. I mean Instagram and Threads. Don't use it, because in the world of advertisers, in the world of people trying to collect data about you and then, as it turns out, misusing it, Facebook is far and away the worst offender. And, it's not that they don't necessarily collect the most information about you, but they are the most evil in what they do with the information, if I may use that word. So if I could tell you just one thing to do, just get off Facebook. Get off Facebook completely. And I say that realizing that, well, a lot of us really literally can't. Like, you might be in a support group or some community group that, like, it doesn't exist anyplace else. You can't participate in that community in any other way because it, like, maybe there's hundreds or thousands of people in it, and we're not just going to tell all of them to move to some other platform. It's not realistic. A lot of businesses run on Facebook. You don't have an actual web page for your business, but you do have a Facebook page, and that's how people find out about you. So, like, there's many, many things like that. And I get that just leaving Facebook is far from a no-brainer. But if you wanted to improve your privacy, that would be one thing to do. And for those who can't do that, I do say, well, at least you could do this, 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 and this, which would make it incrementally safer. So I do talk about those kinds of things. Number two, same thing with Google. So Google actually collects far more information about you than Facebook does, and their tentacles reach everywhere. Because remember, Google is also, it's not just Google search, but it's also Google Docs. It's also Gmail. It's also YouTube. It's also Chrome, the Chrome browser. It's also Chrome OS. Like, so many tentacles all over the place. And if there's one good thing I can say about Google is, at least so far, they mostly keep all that data they collect about you for themselves. Unlike Facebook, they're not just selling it willy-nilly to anybody who will pay for it. But still, I don't like Google knowing all that stuff about me. So not using Chrome, using a more privacy-friendly browser like Vivaldi, which is what I'm using right now. Using something else instead of Google search. Like, I like to use DuckDuckGo, and there are other ones. For almost everything Google does, there is some alternative that respects your privacy more. So it's hard to extricate yourself completely from Google, but the more you can do, the better. So that's the second one. Third thing, which is pretty easy, and everybody can and should do this, is install a good ad blocker. Ad blockers not only eliminate the annoyance of things popping up on your screens, but all those things that pop up on your screens every time they load, they actually collect information about you. They're used for tracking and other purposes. So installing good ad blocker is a fantastic idea. Fourth, get into the habit of encrypting everything. Anytime you have a choice, use the encrypted version. If you have a choice, don't use SMS, use iMessage or WhatsApp or Signal or some other, end-to-end encrypted messaging system. And the same could be said of, turn on File Vault on your Mac, or don't send unencrypted emails with any sort of sensitive information in them. Anytime you have an opportunity to use encryption, do it. And my fifth suggestion is just say no. Like, anytime something pops up on a screen saying, hey, is it okay if I do this? Say, no, you can't. Can I access your camera? No. Can I access your microphone? No. Can I access your location? No. Anytime you have a choice, like, can I put cookies on your computer? No, you can't. Anytime you can opt out of anything, do. And if you later find that causes problems, you can always go back and change that later. But your default answer should always be no. So even if that's all you do, if you stop listening to this right now, you don't buy the book, you don't read the other 200 pages, if you were to do those 5 things, or at least go as far toward doing those 5 things as you can, you would increase your online privacy a great deal.
Okay, so let me throw some of the things back
Yeah.
at you that I think some people would think, and then respond
Yeah.
to it. With Facebook, if you limit your activity to, and I'm gonna stay away from Instagram and Threads for the moment, just Facebook. Because I use Facebook, I post the videos of these shows to Facebook, and invite people to contact me there. Although that's become increasingly a bad channel for that, but that's a whole nother discussion. But I seldom. The only thing I'll do is I will look at notifications maybe for events that are coming up that I might be interested in. I realize, just as you said, I'm giving away information by saying I'm interested in this, but I'm not interested in that. Is that sufficient, or is just the fact that I open the Facebook page or the Facebook app sucking information out from me that I really would rather not give out?
It's actually much worse than that. So,
oh, good. Thank you, Joe.
So, that's how a lot of people think, and I understand why people would think that way. Let me give you a new piece of information. There was a study done last year. I think it's in the book. I don't have it in front of me, where it was discovered that hundreds of thousands of other companies and websites that you might visit are sending all the information they gather about you to Facebook. You don't have to log into Facebook. You don't have to have a Facebook web page open. You don't have to have the Facebook app open. You don't have to do literally anything with Facebook. Even so, all that information about you, which could include your email address, your home address, your birthday, like anything about you that other sites collect, usually without your knowledge, also gets sent to Facebook because Facebook pays the other sites for that information. And all of that gets used by Facebook. Now, of course, what Facebook mainly wants to do with that is to show you ads. And yes, there are ways of blocking ads. However, remember that it's not just about what happens on the Facebook page. Let's say that these thousands of other companies have collected data about you and sent them to Facebook. Well, Facebook is also selling that data to data brokers who then, it goes everywhere. It goes to credit agencies. It goes to insurance companies. It goes to landlords. It goes to the government, right? So that information is free to purchase, and a lot of people do. So Facebook serves as a conduit through which information about you can travel to them, not just for the purpose of them showing you ads, but for other people showing you ads and for other people doing other stuff with that data, deciding on whether you should get that loan or that credit card, deciding whether you're a good insurance risk, deciding whether I should really rent you that house or apartment, things like that. This actually does happen. So if you don't have a Facebook account at all, that puts a real crimp in that. But it's not even what you do. It's the fact that Facebook operates the way it does. So that's like the really bad news. Of course, yes, you can put ad blockers on your devices, and also yes, you can go into Facebook and fiddle with all the privacy settings. But what Facebook and Google and others don't want you to know, or don't want you to notice rather, is that all of those privacy settings aren't about what you think they're about. So in Facebook, you can say, well, who should be able to read my posts, and who should be able to see my profile, and who should see this information about me, and who should see that information about me. It's all about how that data is shared with other visitors to the Facebook site. None of it is about what data Facebook actually collects. So everything you put into Facebook, everything in your profile, every site you visit, every event you look at, literally everything you do there, Facebook itself is going to suck in that data and really find some way to use it against you. So that's why I say appearances to the contrary, there really is no safe way to use Facebook in terms of your online privacy. Again, like, we have to live our lives. I understand that. I'm not saying if you don't delete your Facebook account right now, you are a bad person and shame on you. No, 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 no. Like, I get it. I get it. All right. I just want you to understand what the risks are. I want you to do what you do with your eyes open and realize what you might be giving away and what the consequences of that could be.
Okay, so another one that I hear frankly quite often, and thank you, by the way, for creating the visual aid for me for this example. You're wearing a Heinz shirt. Okay, Heinz. Oh, good choice. Yes, I love Heinz 57. So I hear people say, "What difference does it make if they know all this about me?" Because I prefer Heinz ketchup and so over Hunt's, or Hunt's over Heinz, and so they're going to figure that out about me. What difference does it make? Because they'll be showing me ads that are more relevant to me, and therefore theoretically almost become an information source for me about products that suit what my interests are.
Well, of course, that is exactly the story that advertisers tell. Like, we're doing this for your benefit, right? This is for you. This is so that all those ads you see everywhere are more relevant to you, and that will make you happier because they're for things that you actually want. Well, there are a few fallacies with that. One fallacy is that you actually like, or at least don't mind, the ads. And actually, I mind ads very much, thank you. I go very far out of my way to avoid ads in any setting whatsoever whenever possible, because it's just too much. It's too much. I can't do anything. I can't read an article. I can't watch a video. I can't watch something on TV. I can't function in the world without all these ads all the time. Buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. It's too much. It's too much. If it were like, well, I'm reading a physical newspaper and yes, there are ads there, but I can just ignore them. Or yes, I'm driving down the road and there's a billboard, but I can just ignore that. That would be one thing. But it's not like that. And ads have become so numerous and so intrusive that this whole premise of, well, at least they were good ads kind of falls flat for me. So that's part of it. But the other part is that it's not even just about the ads. Now, look, I grew up in Pittsburgh, right? So of course I'm going to be a Heinz fan. I have, look, right here, I have can't get the angle right, but anyway, I have a Heinz pickle pin. All right, and look, I've like posted about this on my blog. I like Heinz. Hunt's, French's. I don't give me that stuff. Like, yes, Heinz. I do have a bottle of Heinz 57 sauce in my refrigerator. And by the way, I bought this T-shirt because I'm 57 years old now. So I feel like, what's not to like about this whole package, right? So so that's a thing that people could find out about me without like noticing that I look at Heinz ads or whatever. And yes, I know that's giving away some information about myself that could probably be used somehow against me, but whatever. Like, there's an extent to which I have to say, okay, yes, as you say, I don't really care about this. The problem is when you reveal so much about yourself in so many different areas that the bad guys, whether it's advertisers or data brokers or a government agency or whatever, start to put the pieces together and go, oh, well, this young woman looked at ads for this, and she mentioned this, and she went to this place. I bet she's pregnant. And it's not just that they're going to sell you, show you ads for baby products. I'm sure they will. But, certain entities just knowing that you're pregnant could cause a lot of problems in an increasing number of places, especially in the United States. Okay, I don't need to spell out the details, but like little pieces of information put together can lead people to draw conclusions that might lead to scrutiny that you don't want. Now, that is one specific example that I have read some news stories about, but there are plenty of other examples of where, it didn't occur to me that because they know this about me and this about me and this about me, that they might think, he must be a terrorist. How did I get on that no-fly list? Oh, well, I don't think my post about Heinz 57 sauce had anything to do with it, but maybe, this fact in combination with that fact in combination with that fact triggered some algorithms. Did you know that, 43% of terrorists like these three things? Like, I mean, who knows? Who knows? And that's really the point, is who knows? Who knows what could happen with this information? You might think you're just, you've got a bunch of Facebook posts with you holding, margaritas on a beach somewhere, and isn't that nice? But they could lead to an insurance company, a health provider saying, oh boy, this person really drinks a lot. We think they're a bad risk, So what I'm just trying to say is think beyond the surface. Think beyond the obvious ways that your information might be used, and realize that you're contributing to this vast web of stuff about you that can, like, the strands can get pulled in all kinds of weird ways.
Joe is back next time to talk more about take control of online privacy with information you really need to know to protect yourself. That's next time on MacVoices. I'll see you then. I'm Chuck Joyner. As always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.